Welcome everyone to the Tuesday edition of Minions of the Zoo. I'm your keeper, Skep, Tock, and with me I have minions Prospero.
Hello.
Jenna.
Hi.
Lion Press.
Hi, everyone.
And the Harry Channel.
Good evening.
I hope you guys are having a wonderful evening this evening and that your heads are all properly sized.
No one has a brain slug.
Exactly. Nobody has a brain slug, and everything is going okay. It's been an interesting day for many of us. I had got the pleasure of dealing again with the Vogon administration medicine. I hurt my foot the other day, and I have had to have the pleasure of dealing with them. So I'm looking for something to take my mind off my problems. Prospero, how was your day today?
It was fine until like about an hour ago.
Yeah.
And then I got online to renew my driver's license.
Oh dear.
It was smooth and convenient because that's the way governments do things, right?
Oh my God. I thought I would like to get my picture taken again because there was a brief period where Virginia said, "Don't smile." So I was getting ready to smile, and then the guy said, "No, you can't. No open mouth smiling," and I ended up looking like a turtle because I was kind of like, you know.
Oh no.
And I would dearly love that to go away because it's been my driver's license photo for longer than I've enjoyed having it. But, and excuse me, in order to get an appointment with the DMV, now mind you, today is the 4th of May. You cannot get an appointment with them until July the 8th.
Jesus Christ.
That is the earliest in-person appointment I could get. Now, my driver's license expires next month.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So,
You're
Chris
gonna
said, I'm sorry, Jenna.
You're gonna have to change your license anyways.
I know when I move, I'll get a picture taken then.
Yeah.
It's just that I have to go through this horseshit because it would be really easy to change my address and pay the fee and have them mail me one. But now, when I move, I'm going to have to go to the DMV after that and get everything done. But they put you all the way through voter registration again.
Why?
Why?
I mean, even if you're registered to vote, they put you through voter registration. So it was answer this, answer that.
Double registered?
No, it's what they do is they replace your registration with the more recent information.
Are you sure? I think if you're a Democrat, you get to vote twice then.
I was going to say, are you sure you're not
I think
double
it's 3
registered?
times.
No, it's 5/3 of a vote.
Well, I didn't. You don't have. Yeah, that's very well
Very
done.
good, Harry. Very
Very
good.
well played. Oh man! All right. So you had a
that
miserable
was-
day
No, I had a wonderful day until.
until you had to.
Oh, yeah,
do that.
cleaned
you
out
were
cat-
doing this online, right? Holy shit!
Yeah, but they had my old email, which I no longer have active in my email
God.
server, so I had to log on to Xfinity, and then and my DMV PIN code didn't work that I had in Splash ID, so I had to have them send me a message, and they wouldn't change my email before they'd send me the message. So it was just one of those. Nothing's simple.
Yeah.
How can
No,
the DMV hassle you from your own home? Sounds like a DMV visit to me.
It's the government. Anytime you deal with them, you suddenly feel like they've moved in with you.
That's okay. Get this. So to renew your health card online here in Ontario, it's a simple and easy process.
Sure it is.
That's your warning message, right?
Unless you're like me and don't have a driver's license, because that's the only form of ID they'll accept online.
Oh, for God's
They won't
sake.
even accept their own provincial. It's called the Ontario photo card,
Skep,
which
Yes.
I got.
Flora,
What? Huh?
Sora.
Sora.
Oh, Sora. So I have the Ontario photo card, right? It's basically
Oh,
like a
shit,
state ID, right? It's basically
fucking idiot I
the
am.
the
You're not an
equivalent
idiot.
of your state ID. Right? So it's not a driver's license, but it still counts as valid identification. They won't even accept their own government issued ID unless it's a driver's license online. So I still have to figure, like, Pincalo and I have to still go in and get my health card updated because I'm blind and don't have a driver's license and
Yeah, I
cannot
mean,
do it
this is called the
online.
love in the world. I won't drive if you don't drive, BP.
Yeah. But you know what's amazing? It's like if Joseph Heller had lived in Ontario, Catch 22 would be an entirely different book.
Right?
It would just be like being trapped in the forever loop of trying to get a health card.
I went in to give blood this morning at 6:30 because if you have Addison's, you have to do it before 7. And they didn't ask for ID. They didn't ask for a medical card. They didn't ask for
Oh.
anything. They just took my blood.
They were just like, yay, someone with blood.
Don't you have like a little card, like a frequent bleeders card or something?
Well,
They were just
maybe
like,
this was
"Woohoo!"
just your free one. They figured, she's been in
The
12
woman-
times already. Let's give her the 13th for free.
well, no, I usually get blood draw at home because it was for my doctor,
Yeah.
Addison's doctor. I had
Is
to do
Sora
it
in
at
the waiting ring?
the
The waiting area? Skep?
No, she's not.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm sitting here focused like a laser on it.
Oh, she needs the link. I'll send her the link.
I sent her the link. I sent it to her on Discord. She has the link.
He's just waiting for her to appear.
Yeah,
Sorry
she
about
has
that.
she has the link.
So Courtney took 7 vials out of me.
Oh, great.
Asked me my birth date after, she was doing her computer stuff. That's it.
Oh, by the way, can I have your birthday, person with blood? Okay, thank you.
Well, I don't
Thank you
have
for
that
your
much
blood.
blood.
Welcome, Sora. I'm so sorry.
Hello.
I break my routine when I send Blind Press the link because I send it to her on Discord and on Twitter, and for some reason when I came back into Discord, I just didn't send you the link. I am so sorry about that.
So that's
He
okay.
doesn't love you anymore.
I was chit chatting with Geodes and I was like, oh, I just got a notification we went live. I think I was forgotten.
No, it just was me not being very organized. I had asked a number of people to be on, and I didn't do a very good job of remembering who had said yes and no, and it slipped through the cracks. So chalk it up to old age. But you're here now, and I'm darn happy to have you here.
Thank you for the invitation.
I love that your name is Forgotten.
Forgotten. Forgotten. That's awesome.
That's her avatar picture. Forgotten.
People used to say that about Eleanor Roosevelt, that she was forgotten but not gone. Is a play on gone but not
Yeah.
forgotten. But at any rate, all right. Well, we're just kind of going around, talking about what people's days have been like and so forth, and talk with Prospero in general a little bit. Blind Press, what was your day like?
My day was actually all right. I had a bit of a headache earlier because it was a horribly rainy, just gross day. And every time that happens, I get pressure headaches.
Oh.
Like
Sorry.
whenever storms happen or it's rainy or whatever, I get headaches and
Sinus headaches, pain in the front
No,
of your head.
it's like pressure headaches. It's all around my head.
Oh wow,
um,
that sucks.
And the more like the bigger the storm front, it turns into like a migraine type of deal.
Wow, good thing you
I have a
have drugs.
shot for you.
I spent most of the day on the couch, and then it kind of went away around 3:00. So I got up and did my dishes and everything, and but this morning was interesting because the teacher has decided we will be doing more classwork on the computer instead of having, like, she wants them to do like word search activities and stuff on the computer. And she was attempting to teach first graders how to open Google Classroom, go to the classwork tab, click on the activity, and do it. And this was made extra fun because one of the first graders has a blind parent.
Uh-huh.
And the Chromebooks don't talk.
Oh, good.
So I'm sitting there with my kid, and he's like, I can't do it. And I'm like, I can't help you.
Yeah, you're gonna have to, bucko.
Alex?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Alex, yeah, like I literally,
I didn't mean to say his name.
I can't help him. I'm like, and I texted my mom. I'm like, can you walk him through this, like when you have him today, like, because Pincalo's not home right now, and I can't do this. So that was interesting. And then last night, I was in my tournament, so that was fun.
Cool.
How did you do?
So I got I was at 84th place, and then I dropped down to 111th, but there was 229 people in the.
So you beat 120 people
Yeah.
That's
in Mortal
impressive.
Kombat. I want everyone to reflect on the fact that a blind lady beat 120 people in a very visual game.
And this was not a blind only tournament, guys. This was
No, I know.
this was a
that's a
like
great point.
PlayStation sponsored
Open tournament.
or open
Yeah.
tournament. So yeah, it was. I maybe a couple of blind people somewhere else signed up. I don't know, but I beat, we'll say, 120 people that can see.
That's
at the
just
game. So.
that's really remarkable. That's
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 awesome.
awesome.
I'm sorry. I'm almost. I'm
Jeez,
kind
Sora.
of gobsmacked.
And I had a lot of fun, so I think I might enter more of them in the future because that was a lot of fun.
Good on you.
And if I
I'm
get
glad,
better,
glad
and
you had some fun.
if I get better and I win $100. So
Nice.
Canadian or American?
I don't know honestly because it's a North America tournament, so it might be American.
Or it could be pesos.
It could be because Mexico is included, so it could very well be 100 pesos. No, I think it's 100 American probably.
Well, good. All right. So you had a pretty good night last night, and
Yeah.
you had some challenges today. Harry, how's your day been?
Uh-oh.
Sorry, I was typing.
Oh,
My
okay.
day has been interesting. I have noticed that either it's just a spring thing, like how squirrels get horny and they run in front of your car so that they can commit suicide.
Right.
That's
It's-
what
How you've been feeling?
I was gonna say.
No. Bear with me, Sora. Bear with me.
You've been
Harry, it's
feeling
not worth it.
suicidal
I have been absolutely swamped with work. And I think what's going on is people have suddenly, either spring is making them insane, they've gone all Pepe Le Pew on me, or they've all realized that they're going to have to go to work soon. And because the difference between this week and a lot of the weeks leading up to it is like night and day. Suddenly everybody's doing something and everybody wants something and everything's super important and everybody's dick's going to fall if it doesn't happen immediately.
That's
It's
been
just-
happening to my mom.
It's been absolutely insane. I feel like for whatever reason the world is waking up from a slumber. And it started this Monday.
That's been happening to my mom because she works, like, she's a federal employee and she works obviously right now from home. And in the last couple of weeks, she's been just swamped, like with she says it's because it's tax season and it's the last quarter, but it's just been very sudden. Just, she's been up working at like 6 a.m. because she's helping to homeschool the 6-year-old, so she's like barely working for half the day. But she's apparently on a surge team, which I guess is like extra stuff, and nobody's covering her stuff for her. So apparently today she's like, I've got something that's supposed to go to a minister tomorrow, like government minister, and it's not even started yet. I'm like, oh dear.
So you won't be helping him get onto Google.
Well, anyway, Harry, getting back to your day, uh, what exciting things have you got going? Have you got anything interesting, exciting? You say you're doing a lot of work. Is any of it cool, or is it just grunt work?
Well, it's interesting that you should say that, because if there's anything I really enjoy doing, it's architecture stuff, hardware, software, security, kind of looking at the big picture.
You bet.
And I had a meeting with 4 very smart people today, and I threw more than a few monkey wrenches into the works by just, going, why?
Yeah.
Let's go back to first principles. Why is it that you think this is going to help? And just trying to get their requirements. And
What is this thing? What is its purpose? Yeah.
Yeah. What is this thing? What is its purpose? So what are your pain points, basically, and why do you think this particular decision is going to make it less painful for you? Because what you're really doing is turning your storage problem into a network problem. That's just one of those.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a question of which kind of pain you want to suffer through. But yeah, it was actually interesting to use to do some big brain stuff. And a number of things I've been working on are sort of decisions that are going to shape the next 10 years for some of my customers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at long-term plans, and there's so much misinformation because, of course, everybody just wants to take money from you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I watched this video about this particular bit of software. Oh, this is amazing. It's the most amazing thing ever, but it's really complicated. You're going to want to find a vendor that you can trust, such as our sponsor. And then they go blah, 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 and then they tell you how you're supposed to give them a lot of money. And then you go look at another video on YouTube, and then there's this guy who says, well, I set up these 4 Raspberry Pis. Those are like little $50 single board computers.
Right.
I set up these 4 little Raspberry Pis and hooked them up to switch in my office and deployed the thing that they were talking about in the previous video on the 4 Raspberry Pis.
Oh, that's fun.
Okay, clearly somebody is telling me something that's incorrect.
Yeah.
Either it's so complicated I need like an outside firm to hold my little hand, so that I won't hurt myself, or it's so simple that a guy threw it together in an afternoon as part of setting up 4 Raspberry Pis on his desk. I'm thinking it's probably the latter, and I need to give them the money.
Yeah. No, there are guys who are selling nothing for something, and it's as old as business is. So twill ever be thus. In the computer business, the IT business is a lot about demystifying things that are in their nature relatively complex. But a lot of what people who work in IT do ostensibly is to make complicated things more simple, and to illuminate things, make the customer understand. So what a good IT person does is he makes the company understand what they're paying for, what value they're getting for, and what should drive their future IT strategies. And there's so many bullshit artists out there who they're trying to sell not very much for a whole bunch of money, because it's an industry in which people are accustomed to spending a lot of money. There are just a lot of ripoffs out there. Is that still true, Harry?
Oh, well, it's not a ripoff in the sense that what you're doing is you're buying accountability.
Yeah,
What you're
a
doing
neck
is
to squeeze.
as the decision maker, what you're doing is you're saying you should give these people money so that way when it goes tits up, I won't get blamed because it won't be something that I put together for you.
It's
And,
also a neck to squeeze, to make it do
Well,
what
if-
it's supposed to do.
Well, if we ever do get our tech talk with Skep talk thing together, title still in the works.
Yeah, that's a working title.
One of the cultural things that's going on is there's this idea of that you should focus on what your company's supposed to do. You should just, and anything that's extraneous, you just outsource it. I don't want to run computer centers. I don't want to have IT staff. I don't want to have I don't want to have people that manage HR. I don't want anything. I just want to be a lean, mean company, and I'm going to write this software, and we're going to do a release every month, and I'm going to exploit the hell out of these kids that just got out of college, and then we're all going to retire at 30 because we're going to be bought by Cisco. And
Right.
that's just sort of that's sort of the wet dream that kind of floats around Silicon Valley. And it's pretty stupid because there's a big difference between planning on a startup in a garage that's going to get purchased and like something that's actually going to make money over time. Because over time, all of those things as you outsource start to add up pretty quickly. And once you reach a certain size, outsourcing everything doesn't really make a lot of sense. You kind of have to own something.
Right. You have to do something for a living. And I know exactly what you're talking about. That idea that the only thing that you do is just exactly your core business. You don't have an HR department, you outsource that. You don't have an IT department, you outsource that. You don't own the building. You don't own anything. You don't do anything other than weave these specialty baskets. That's all you do, and everything that is not directly associated with that's not a direct cost center to that is outsourced. And I've known companies that had that philosophy. They tend not to do very well, actually.
Yeah, there's a graph I'm thinking about building, which is sort of. It's actually occurred to me that I could model the expenses with a graph because I can do y equals mx plus b. That's not particularly difficult. It's actually very easy to explain how all this stuff works in a picture. I am actually. I mean, as an aside, and I'm sorry to talk so much, but
no, please.
It's fascinating to me that people don't use visual representations of things more effectively than they do. Because I went back and talked about Edward Tufte. And the idea of, the visual representation of things, you can have like a visual metaphor or a diagram or a logical diagram. And I've noticed people don't seem to make those anymore.
No, they don't. The PowerPoint presentations, all they do is they throw the sentences that they are going to say on the screen. That's the presentation you get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I once knew a
Very
guy
high
who was
school,
a
isn't
manager
it?
at Apple.
It is.
He made the assertion that he could sell anything with 5 slides to anyone.
It may have been true at one time, but
No, it wasn't. It may
I
have
don't
been
think it's
true
true
inside
anymore.
Apple, but
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
true anymore.
yeah,
So that's
Apple's
my day. I
broken.
got to use my gray matter a little bit today, and I feel like I actually helped some people. So that's a lot better than
That's
most days.
rewarding.
It
That's
is.
rewarding, and I'm glad. I'm glad that they have you. They're very lucky to have you.
I'm going to save them a ton of money and even more grief.
I just hope you're billing the crap out of them.
Oh, TBD.
Yeah. All right. We've had some interesting stuff happening down here in Texas.
Did you ask everybody how their day was?
Sora Luna.
Oh, Sora, I forgot you again. I did it again. My God, I was about to launch into this thing about Tim Scott, and I completely forgot about you. How was your day?
I'm
I don't know
good.
what my problem is.
They're we ordered some we're getting IDs for work, which we never had to have before, but now we do because they're closing down the health authorities. So you have to have a legitimate reason to be traveling.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
My
And-
God, that's like Soviet Union.
I'm sure it's not going to be that bad, but we're like, we have no ideas because they said no roadblocks. Now they might be doing roadblocks, and who knows? So, which now we're going to have like picture IDs with everything, and so that's basically the most exciting bit.
Does it feel sinister? Do you feel like the government is coming to you and saying, we're going to make sure you're in the place where you're supposed to be, and you must remain in that place until we give you instructions?
I think it would feel more sinister if I didn't live in the area I was. I think if I had to commute far for work, I would be feeling more so than I feel now. But which is the problem, right? It's a problem because when something doesn't really affect you as much, you're more complacent and you're not really paying attention to what happens. But yeah, no, it's great because this is exactly, it's not going to do anything at all to help anything because people are people and they will find ways around any sort of restrictions for travel. So it's going to backfire, but
Is there any prospect for relief from what seems to me to be kind of nonsense that's going on in Canada right now?
No, at this time yet, probably not. Till more people either have second dose. But see, that's the thing. They keep moving the goalposts. Because first it was, at the beginning last year, it's, the 2 weeks to squash the curve. Okay, then we figured out, okay, the problem's worse than it is. And instead of doing something like stopping flight right away to stop in the huge lot of people coming in infected, they didn't. So you've got tons of people out. So then, you put the restrictions of 3 months lockdown. And then you've got, you're like, okay, that's okay. Everyone wears the masks. But then despite that, there's been rolling lockdowns throughout the months. And now, okay, the next signpost is the jabs are coming out, except for the fact they're not, you're getting a small, they didn't order enough, so it's not sufficient for the country, or they're ordering like J&J, but then they're stopping, they're not allowing that back into the country, or whatever it is they're doing. So it's
What I'm most concerned with what's going on in Canada is the children. They need to be socializing and in school.
Yeah.
And they're the least likely to get it. It is so important for that age to be socialized.
Yep.
They're literally going to be behind. And when they are 25, they're going to have to explain, sorry, boss, COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Sora, how is this affecting your business?
Not a lot. I mean, definitely we're not at capacity that we would have had if COVID didn't exist, because we legally can't see capacity because of social distance. And what has changed, though, is we have telehealth now, which is kind of useless for my specialty, but that I work for, but it's still something. So we do see a certain amount of people, which actually has been very beneficial to pregnant ladies, because that means they actually get to speak with a specialist. It's not like anything can be done for them until they're postpartum, but it's for them it's been good. But that's
those home cesarean kits look pretty sinister, frankly.
Well, it's just there. COVID is making everybody insane. Like,
the worst part is exactly that, BP. It's people have just lost it. We obviously I work in a medical building, and 4 people are allowed in the elevator. It makes no sense. If you go to the mall downtown in the Nordstrom, which is a huge elevator, they say only 2 people are allowed. But in our tiny medical office building, you're allowed 4. It makes no sense. You're not social distance with. If you want to be properly social distance, honestly, 1 person per elevator. That's if you want to do the full like 2 meters apart. There is no way to have 2 people and have 2 meters apart.
And then
Maybe
the elevators should be fogged after they get off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so apparently
And
you're allowed
scrubbed
4.
down.
You have 4. Had a guy in full on like hazmat gear, basically scream at one of our office staff when she was trying to get on to leave for home yesterday.
Wow.
He was by himself in the
You had
elevator.
an elevator screamer?
Yeah, and they're like, "Don't you come in here!" And she's like, "Oh my god."
Relax, dude.
And she's like, yeah, no, that's fine. You psycho, go. You just. I'm not getting in there.
Gosh.
With you, don't worry.
This afternoon,
And that's not the first one.
my mom was on the phone with me this afternoon when she was driving Alex home, because she was just telling me how he did. And she and Pincalo happened to get to the driveway at the same time because he was picking up Logan from daycare. And our neighbor freaking was watching them. Like you could tell, like my mom was like, "Oh, look, one of your neighbors is curious as to why I'm dropping off one of your children." It's like, really? Just fuck off. Like, seriously, like, go. And my mom's like, I will go with, like, it's like, really, lady? Do you want to homeschool this kid? You know, like
just do
BP,
that. Do
next
that
time,
little,
just go and pick him up.
hello. Wave. Like,
You know-
hey, call her out.
just to tell you how different things are down here. I went into Target the other day, and the only people with masks on in there were some of the employees. Not even all the employees were wearing masks.
And I bet you guys are allowed to buy clothing from Target too.
Yeah,
You're not allowed to buy clothing?
Nope.
Wyatt.
That's not essential.
Wait, what?
My body says it is.
You're
Oh
not
no,
allowed to buy
you
clothing?
can just guess your size and buy it online. And
It seems like it would get cold.
And if your kids need
Wait, sorry, you
clothes-
can buy clothing?
Oh, do you mean like you can't try it?
No, you can't go to the store and buy clothes right now.
Oh, yeah, you guys are in full lockdown, aren't you?
You can't.
Yeah.
There are like, you can't buy office supplies right now from the stores.
So you guys don't live near each other.
No.
Opposites.
Well,
sides
it's
of the country.
Canada. It's not a big country. Yeah, they're pretty close.
No, it's not a big country at
We're,
all.
I know,
cities away from each other.
It's
They all know each
It's
other.
provincial rules, Jenna, not nationwide.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my province, we are
Led by a
fully
retard.
locked down. Oh my god.
The only
insult to
person,
retards.
the only person more fucked in the head than Doug Ford is Francois Legault.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Quebec and Ontario, neck and neck, racing to the bottom.
Yep.
I mean, I know BC is going, hold up, we're trying.
They're
But
both a couple of sociopaths, as far as I'm concerned.
it's just,
They're crazy people.
well, it's like that bullshit that they wanted the cops to pull before you went into full lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
And even the Toronto police, which you
We're
think,
like, nope.
yeah, which you figure have to be pretty much like, yay, government. We're like, we can't do that. It violates the charter.
We will not do that. It's unconstitutional.
Yeah, it violates the charter. We can't. And it's like, that was like a Thursday afternoon, and then everybody was screaming on Friday, and Monday it was like, okay, we got some changes.
Yeah.
And it was like,
That was the same announcement as, despite we're gonna close parks, we're gonna close all the outdoor recreation, and the scientists went, why?
Why?
yeah,
Like
well,
there was one of Doug Ford's science committee members, like one of the head of the science table, gathered to like kind of help guide them through COVID. He almost quit because none of the actual recommendations that the science committee had been giving to the government were being followed. And they were just doing things that were counterproductive or counterintuitive, like shutting down parks after winter, when it has been clearly shown that outdoor exposure and transmission is significantly lower than indoor exposure and transmission.
well, it's like the WHO has just now basically said that large buildings need to be working on recycling the air in them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, really,
Recycle in the air.
no shit. I mean, lay people.
Yeah.
We're talking about that a year ago. And the WHO has just arrived at a conclusion that I'd say 80% of the people on Earth had already arrived at.
Yeah, the WHO
Well done.
were still talking. Like, literally, the way the WHO was talking, you would think that they were doing what that the Pope in the bubonic plague. I'll build myself a big fire room. That'll keep me safe.
Yeah.
You know, like, what the fuck? Like,
There are just moments where you're like, wow.
yeah.
I think it was the WHO. It may have been the CDC. It doesn't matter.
No.
Because it's all the alphabet poop that's going on. No, don't go outdoors where the sunshine kills things.
Did
Like,
you hear?
creepy bad things. I don't want to say anything and upset Susan.
Well, but it is a medically established fact that in
Uh-huh.
bright sunshine, this virus has a lifespan of less than 5 minutes.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
UV is very hard on the boy, and bright sunshine is just chock full of it. It's just the way the sun works.
Uh-huh.
You know, Susan can shove it up her ass.
That's, yeah, I mean,
Yes, Susan.
well, the science is settled.
Yeah, that's
The
pretty
worst
settled science.
phrase on earth, though, isn't it?
Yeah, we do want to be careful about, you know, medical misinformation. We certainly want to only talk about settled science and not any speculative science that might contradict a certain
Isn't
progressive narrative.
most science speculative?
Hush.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's an illegal thought.
Wait, she's blind. She can get away with it.
Science is fine. The problem is that people who understand science are also human, and they have human vices. And they have human vices and human insecurities. And what happens is that politics finds its way in and tries to use science as a tool, much the same way that they used to use religion as a tool.
Rather effectively, because it seems that there is an auto-da-fe.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out what Saturday's show is going to look like, but I have a few thoughts along these lines.
All
It's
right.
gonna look like Saturday.
Yes. But no, the whole thing with science is people say follow the science. Well, how many times in my short lifetime have doctors been completely and utterly wrong about things?
Yeah.
So I'm happy to follow the science. I do the best I can. I'm a very technical person, and I'm very. I try to be a good citizen scientist, and I do my reading. from multiple sources, and I try my very best to keep up with it as well as any layperson can. But I've seen far too many times when the orthodox things end up being changed. So I think having a healthy degree of skepticism is not such a bad thing, and I don't think forcing scientists to show their work is such a bad idea.
No.
It's on them as science communicators to make their damn point.
Behold the chicken egg and the amount of information, or shall we say, misinformation about the health benefits and or dangers of the simple chicken egg.
I remember.
We have experienced in 60 years. It's gobsmacking.
I remember being a little kid and being told eggs were just full of fat and horrible for you, and it'll raise your cholesterol, and
Yes.
don't want high cholesterol, and that's horrible for you, so don't eat eggs.
Only one visible egg a week.
Yes.
3 eggs a week, maybe.
Maybe.
On the edge.
Maybe.
So,
But make sure you cook it in margarine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ew.
because that makes sense.
Because those saturated fats are bad for you. And then tick, tick, a decade goes by.
Eat
Oh,
eggs.
those polyunsaturated fats we've been pushing.
Yeah.
There's this thing called trans fat. It turns out it's to blame for everything. And meanwhile, all of us over here with a stick of butter in our hands are like,
Sucker.
fuckers.
We
It's,
keep hard-boiled eggs in our fridge
Yeah.
for snacks when the kids are hungry or we're hungry. And let
I
me
do
tell
that too.
it gives them enough so that they'll stop whining at us, and it doesn't fill them up for dinner.
no,
It's
but
perfect.
it's a nice little protein bomb.
Yeah.
It is a protein bomb. Eggs are a brilliant delivery system for a number of things. I mean,
Happiness is one.
yes.
My kids just eat them when they get them out of the fridge. They just eat them like if you would a chocolate bar. They just take bites out of them as they run out the door.
Mhm.
Sora only eats shrimp.
Yes.
I wish
Well,
I liked eggs.
She's a flamingo now, BP.
Because she's
Just
a flamingo.
Yeah,
just
she's no longer forgotten.
forgotten.
She's pink.
I get very I wish I ate eggs because they are so good for you with the omega-3s and all that in them. But it's the freaking texture. I can't get over the texture of eggs. No matter how they're done, I cannot do it. The smell of cooking eggs, fine. Even the smell of eggs itself, I don't mind. But once I get an egg in my mouth, it's like, ooh.
No matter the cooking method. That's unusual. That's almost like somebody told you something sometime. Maybe actually because you were told as a child
Maybe.
that eggs were going to kill you. You developed an aversion to eggs.
It's interesting. I was thinking about what you said, Prospero. When I was growing up, my mom and dad, particularly my mother, told us that eggs are one of nature's amazing things. You should eat eggs; they're good for you. Eat your eggs, and she made eggs for us a lot. It was one of the things she's pretty competent at cooking, and that there wasn't a big universe, frankly. But she could fix eggs and do so in a number of ways, and they were always good. I always enjoyed them. I have such positive memories of eggs growing up. The other thing was she thought the whole thing about margarine was bullshit, and she called that early. And she would never cook with anything but butter, nothing but butter. We never owned a tub of margarine.
I grew up in a margarine household, and it wasn't because of that. It's because they all became accustomed to it during the war.
Yeah,
And
that was another thing was she had to do without it during the war, exactly. And she was going to have butter every single
Never
day.
again,
Thank you very
she
much.
said.
That's
Yeah.
right. Never again. Exactly.
I'm the
Shakespeare
one.
just said
I'm
this
the
guy.
one when everybody was telling you to use margarine that made the transition to butter, because I was like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, just being ornery, just being contrary.
No, it's like, I'm sorry, but mankind has gotten here consuming butter. Margarine is a short span of our history. Butter is a long span of our history. Bite me.
Yeah.
It's proper cooking temperatures for frying are essential. Because
absolutely,
if you are going to fry a piece of fish, make sure that your oil is at 300 or whatever you're cooking it in, is at 375 degrees. If you're frying whitefish. And what you will do is the breading will absorb some of that cooking oil, but not a great deal of it. And you will steam the protein within the breading. So it is delicate and flaky and very, very good for you. So a well-fried piece of fish is not something that should be eschewed by people who are like, oh my God, cholesterol. And you choose your cooking oils smartly also. The omega-3, high omega-3 oils, there are all kinds of charts. You can go online and look them up about what are the best and healthiest cooking oils to use. And there's just all kinds of information out there, and it's quality information.
My mom used mostly corn oil and olive oil is what we had almost exclusively. We never had safflower oil that I know of.
Mom was kind of a vegetable oil of some kind.
Yeah.
Either generalized vegetable oil.
Yeah.
I know corn oil was around. She wasn't much of an olive oil user. Yeah. But I became an olive oil user. It's interesting. I just began making choices based on what I had the most success with.
Mm-hmm.
But
do you know in Italy, in the part of Italy where my family comes from, it's customary to drink about an ounce of an ounce of olive oil in the morning with your breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And the olive oil that they drink, and I've had this stuff, it doesn't taste like our olive oil. It doesn't look like it. It's cloudy, for one thing. And it is, it's straight from the
tastes like olives.
Yeah, it actually tastes like olives. It has a very, very pungent smell. I've never smelled anything that I bought in America that smelled like this. And the other thing is, if you drink one of those, if you drink a shot glass of that stuff, and that's what I did, it had about half an hour later, it has a real effect on you.
Yeah,
you're gonna be near a bathroom.
Well, they're keeping
leave it at that.
Well, that's basically, I think, why they're doing it instead of doing the awful Southern castor oil, Southern Mama's Remedy. They're keeping everything well lubricated.
Yeah.
A lot of people ended up having problems when they went to severely low-fat diets, and it's not.
Did you have to have spring tonics?
No.
Do you remember spring tonics?
No, my mother did not do this.
We had cod liver oil, and it was after a long winter. We had to line up, and all three of us got a shot of cod liver oil, and it was just nasty. It was like gag making, awful stuff.
My mother did not subject me to internal lubrications.
Yes.
For which I am intensely grateful. I guess she figured she used enough Crisco.
Yeah. Well, it's anyway. It's just an interesting thing. I don't know how we got to talking about this, but there you go. It's
eggs, oil.
Yeah, eggs, oil, and
polyunsaturated fats.
Yeah, we eventually went down the rabbit hole, but. I was looking through stuff for stories for the stream tonight, and one of the ones that caught my eye was this thing about Texas Democrat resigns after calling Senator Tim Scott an Oreo. Now, Tim Scott is the only black senator in the United States Senate. He's
for the Republicans.
For the Republicans,
Yeah.
and he is he is kind of he's just an exemplary human being. He's just a fine guy, well spoken and smart, and a real something of a thought leader, frankly, in my opinion. Yeah, even though he tends to be he doesn't get as much press as some of the other Republicans who are in leadership positions. So anyway, this asshole, and I'm just going to put that out there. This asshole who was the head of the Lamar County Democrats, Democratic Party in Lamar County, Texas. This is a part of Texas that is up by Oklahoma. It's in the northeast part of Texas, not terribly far from Texarkana. And Paris, Texas is the county seat. And it's the part of Texas where the rest of us Texas call just barely Texas. Mm-hmm. And this clown calls this great man who does more good things in a half an hour than this guy will do in his life, calls him an Oreo after Tim Scott gave the rebuttal to President Biden's State of the Union. It wasn't really a State of the Union, but his speech to both houses of Congress last week. And so this guy's name is Gary O'Connor. He's the chair of the Lamar County Democratic Party. He announced his resignation in a statement today, apologizing for the racial slur written in a since deleted Facebook post criticizing Scott's response to Biden. And the Democratic leader said he was deeply sorry for his inappropriate and hurtful use of a racist term, end quote, which refers to a black person who is perceived as acting white, meaning black on the outside, white on the inside. Mm-hmm. O'Connor faced mounting calls for his resignation and hanging over the post, including from U.S. I added part of that from U.S. Representative Pat Fallon, who's a Republican from Texas, who labeled the comment abhorrent, insulting, unforgivable. And he said, I had hoped Scott might show some common sense, but it seems clear that he is little more than an Oreo with no real principles, O'Connor wrote in his controversial Facebook post. So, he really just stuck to that.
That's not good, man.
So Scott, who is the, spurred a reaction from progressives on Twitter after he stated that America is not a racist country in his response to Biden's speech last Wednesday. So that got him pissed off. That got the Democrats pissed off. In the speech's aftermath, the splur, Uncle Tim, as in Tim Scott, so they called him Uncle Tim, trended on Twitter for hours and hours before it was blocked by the social media site.
11 hours.
Yeah, wow. And occurrence, the South Carolina senator described the next day as, and this is Tim Scott to a T. He said it was disappointing. The guy has just drips class. He really is just a great guy. Their America and my America are not the same if they think that discriminating is the fastest way to end discrimination, Scott told Fox News in an interview later on. Anyway, Texas Republican Party Chairman Allen West, yep, that's who the Texas State Republican Party Chairman is.
Oh, you mean that Oreo?
Yeah, another Oreo. Oh, not. Condemned O'Connor's comments in a video posted to Twitter in which he said he would be sending a gift of Oreo cookies to the former party chair and to the Lamar County Democrats. He said,
That's fucking brilliant.
He said, I'm sick and tired of the true party of racism, West said. So I just thought I would leave that there and get your guys' reaction to that. I love that he picked right up on that, and he's a national figure.
Yeah,
that's just like if people need any more examples of how racist Democrats are,
they really are.
Like seriously, he's not thinking the way I want him to think. He must be an Oreo.
They get very upset when their pet Negroes do not behave.
Right?
They tried to take him to obedience school, and the problem is, at least the dudes playing on the Republican team aren't having it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And-
the pet dog bit their hand off this time.
Yeah, and it's how can he possibly say that it's not? It is, and see the thing is all these people, all these predominantly white people, although Black Twitter was not kind to Tim Scott.
No.
And all I wanted to say is, my God, will you look at the bushel of people who are acting exactly like they're calling Tim?
Right?
Yeah.
Because if anybody was shucking and jiving for the Democrat Party, it was that crowd.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you realize what you look like?
They have no self-awareness, Prospero.
I know, but it's tragic because
Yeah,
it was
is.
like,
It is.
oh my God, you guys are like a throwback to something I don't even want to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just horrifying that it's the whip me harder.
Yeah. And of course, we need to be careful with how we're putting things here.
Well, no, just it's the
You want to
abused.
get in trouble with the bot.
It's the abused spouse, abused child,
Yes,
Oh.
I would agree with you. I think
whipped
that's
dog
very
behavior.
Yep.
Because if I don't grovel the way I'm supposed to grovel,
or show virtue.
I won't get fed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's some actual truth to that. Because
Yes.
when you say to the government, I'm going to put you in charge of my welfare instead of taking responsibility for my welfare, that takes a lot of degrees of freedom away from you in terms of what you can do to control your life.
All
So
identity groups
they have-
fall into this category. It is not just Black people. It is all the beholden to the big state identity groups.
Yep.
I want to make sure nobody thinks I'm saying something that I am not saying.
Yeah.
The fucking idea of calling Tim Scott an Oreo or an Uncle Tim or all the other lovely things.
And I love, like, it's like that a white person called him that. It's like, do you know what that means? Like, do you know what they're saying about white people, too, when you call people, like, that they're just, like, that it's racist to both sides? Like, and it's like, you dumb motherfucker. Like, do you not know how disparaging that comment is to both white and Black people?
And common sense.
Yeah.
I don't think they really go that far. I think that's a little bit too nuanced.
It's a little too nuanced for them, yes. That people could be individuals. What do you mean? They're not just a collective based on their immutable characteristics? Well,
Well, the head of their party, Joe Biden, made it very clear: if you don't support Joe Biden, then you ain't black.
You ain't Black. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, well, he didn't really mean that. Yes, he did. He said it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what he meant, and that's exactly why they're coming down on Tim Scott.
Yeah. You
Well, I
didn't
think
get the message.
you're taking that out of context. I mean, saying that he called him an Oreo, and you're saying, well, he meant it as a racial slur. He may have actually been confused and thought he was an actual cookie.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because he
he may have been
looks
thinking
just
about
like a
snack
cookie.
time. You know,
Yeah, exactly. He may have been hungry.
chocolate pudding.
There's a lot of
and,
things that could be going on.
Oreos.
I wonder if Trig Gowdy sent him an email message because they're really good friends.
Yeah.
Next time I see you, can I dip you in milk?
Oh, my God.
You know, that's what I'd do if I were the man's friend.
Yeah.
I would just be funning on this till the cows came home.
I'll
Because
tell you this: the Republicans are going. We just found a bird's nest on the ground. You know, this is like a windfall for them. They will be able to dine out on this and say, here's an example of democratic racism. This guy O'Connor, he is fucking finished in the Democratic Party. I promise you, he will not be welcome not because he said what he said, but because what he did was stupid, and it was a poor choice tactically to do. He thought he was signaling virtue, and what he did was he brought a lot of shame and hatred to the Democrats, and most unforgivably gave the Republicans a real piece of ammunition they can use again and again to, you want to know how racist the Democratic Party is? Here, listen to this. And they can haul that out over and over and over.
Oh, what I've already seen though, this is how adept the Democrats are at messaging. I'll give them this. Because your average stupid drive-by news consumer is going to think, well, they have a point. Well, see, by this response and all these racial slurs being thrown at Tim Scott by not true Democrats, these are probably all Trump Democrats anyway, they're pointing out to Tim Scott how wrong he was when he said the country wasn't racist. They've actually tried that. Well, Tim Scott should learn by the response that he got that he was wrong. And I'm like, hold on. You just said that you're willing to embrace racism to prove the man wrong.
The narcissism.
Yeah. And I mean, it's
everything's on its head. It's
gaslight. It didn't really happen.
It is. You talk about that just to kind of take off on that. I was reading about Alan West's career and was reminded how he left the army. He was basically received non-judicial punishment, was fined $5,000, and allowed to retire for an incident wherein he was in an operational situation in Iraq, and he had a couple of companies who were basically, they were going to be blown up if this guy did not give up the information that he needed to get, and he knew these people were going to die, so he took a gun to tell the gentleman who they had captured how serious he was about killing him if he wasn't willing to provide him the information right then. He took a gun and fired it into a device that is basically a long tube with sand and powdered metal in the bottom, and you can fire a gun safely into it. It will stop the round at the end, and it won't leave or hurt the shooter or anybody else around. He pulled that tube out, pulled out his gun out of his sidearm out of his holster, and put it in there and fired a round in front of the guy's face. And he said, "Do you want to tell me now where those IEDs are?" And the guy told him, and it saved like 25 guys' lives, or they would have been blown up. Basically.
And the army punished him for it.
And the army punished him for that.
Because
you know what he did? He turned himself in instantly. Yes. That day he put himself on report.
He told I've heard him speak about this, and he said, yeah. For the people who like to criticize me like to point out that I was fined, and that I received
non-judicial punishment.
Yeah. And he said, and I do it again tomorrow because I chose my men over the bullshit.
Exactly right.
He said the rules of engagement are so squarely against us. I will always choose my men. I will always choose my men. I knew what I did violated the rules. But it's one thing to have a lovely little pretty set of rules and basic training when you're prancing around. And I'm not belittling basic training, okay? But you're prancing around in a perfectly safe environment.
Yeah.
Inconus, one thing. Oconus, entirely different ball game, and especially in that shit pit of a sandbox.
Yeah,
Yep.
you know, if I was him, I would rather deal with a $5,000 fine than the deaths of 25 of my men on my conscience.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he was just trying to save his own life. Yeah, right. That's it. He was trying to save his own life. He was an officer. He could have said, "Go on out there, have a good day." You don't know how many of them do. So please, please, it's just the idea. People are constantly getting punished for rules of engagement that are designed around the Marquis of Queensberry's rules.
By
Well,
bureaucrats who never seen a moment of operational military service.
And some of them have lots of stars and pretty little fruit salad
yeah.
all over their
Oh, yeah.
chest. But they've been bench
Charge
jockeys,
of personnel
bench
for
jockeys
air.
their entire goddamn existence.
Yeah. Or they were operational at one time and they forgot the lessons that they learned. But you know, they get poisoned by, you know, the rather comfortable situation they find themselves in Washington. There's something about Washington that it does corrupt people. But all this did give us a great line from Alan West. He said, "If it's about the lives of my soldiers at stake, I'd go through hell with a gasoline can."
And that's a leader.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's a leader.
That's the difference between those assholes back at the Pentagon who sat in judgment on this good man. Boy, every time I read that story, it just pisses me off all over again. And in Wikipedia, it's called the Iraq torture incident.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what they did to those guys in Afghanistan.
And it's also incorrectly reported, but you know, Wikipedia.
It's Wikipedia.
Yeah, what the hell do you expect? You know,
Well, it's like the guys.
It's the New York Times. It's the incorrect New York Times version of the story that was later amended at least 2 times that I know about. Those amendments are not in this. About the stuff that they did find, the weapons that they did find, and the ambushes that were planned. So anyway, just irritates.
Yeah, he should have another medal for this, but instead he got punished.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But
That's how it works.
Yeah, it is how it
but
works.
he did get sent. We did send him to Congress. So
Yeah.
there's that.
And then he shook the stink of that off of him.
Yeah. No, he's a good man. He's a truly good man. And
We're talking about Dan Contrell?
Alan West.
Alan West.
Alan West.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
an amazing guy. Anyway,
and he has
he happens
no
to be black.
fucks
Also
to
happens
give.
to be black, by the way.
that zero fucks to give attitude is great too. It's just like you and your pretty stuff. Mm.
But we are at the point where we're in. This is the time usually when Blind Press want to check out. Are you doing okay, hon?
I do need to head out.
Okay.
But tomorrow, Wednesdays with Skep.
Yes, Wednesdays with Skep. Come and check us out at 11 o'clock Central, 12 o'clock
PM
Eastern.
And I have an article for us to talk about our wonderful new censorship bill.
Oh, boy.
And, you'll
I've
love
heard it's
it.
really good.
Oh, it's
really-
amazing.
You guys are innovating in the area of censorship.
Oh,
I just want you to know it's good to
Boy,
know.
are we ever.
You guys are #1 again.
We are.
Yay!
We are just.
Canada #1.
Yeah.
Justin Trudeau's an idea guy.
Oh yeah.
That's just fun to say out loud, isn't it?
Leading the world in cuckoldry.
So we'll be talking about that wonderfulness.
We'll have some fun. Come and join us tomorrow, guys.
Yes, and thank you for having me. I always enjoy.
Always a
coming
pleasure.
on, so.
Always.
I hope we'll see you Thursday.
Absolutely.
Good.
All right, hon. Good
We
night.
missed you
night,
last
Kiki.
Thursday, by the way.
I know,
night.
freaking the boys again.
Yeah.
I just had to go deal with kids.
Yeah.
All right, guys, have a great night.
All right, good night, hon.
Good night,
Good night.
BP.
Bye.
Pain in the asses that they are.
I'm sorry to also be a party pooper, but I have to step out too.
No, go get your beauty rest. I'm sorry, I did not forget you on purpose tonight. I don't know what was
that's
wrong with
okay.
me.
I paid him
I thought
20
it was
bucks to do it.
No, it's
Cool.
just
I
his
thought it was
senior
really
moments here.
Do you
No,
guys not
I
hear?
am very sorry because it's Wednesdays and Thursdays are really early for me for work. But it was fun to
Well,
pop
we
in and
love
be part of
having
the
you.
first
You're
hour.
always welcome on this show. So thanks for stopping by and being a part of it.
Thank you, and have a good night, everyone here, and a good night
Night.
chat too.
You too. Have a good sleep.
Night.
Bye.
Don't let more than 4 people in your elevator.
Well, apparently, I think we're gonna have to do WWE SmackDown now in our building, which is fine with me.
You should take them
Get
all.
some aggression
You're
out.
good.
I was gonna say all that pent up aggression.
Yeah. All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
We'll see you later.
You know, you could just hear the delight in Sora's voice. It's okay. I'm just gonna hold this against you for the rest of your life. She wouldn't do that. She's too nice a person. 2 or 3 weeks tops.
Yeah. No, she's she's just a delight to have on the show. Frankly, I love having her on. I love that counterpoint and having BP and Sora on, getting that Canadian point of view is it's really worthwhile. Enjoy talking with them. Functional, some of these guys from Canada. It is a different country, and it's becoming more different from us, seemingly.
That's
At
more
least
like
it's
Russia.
a lot different from Texas. That's for sure. I'm feeling very happy to be living down here. Very
You
free.
should.
And
Florida, I mean, Florida's like giving y'all a run for the money with a kind of like, you said what, DC? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
yeah. So
DeSantis, every time I turn around, Ron DeSantis is doing one more thing that makes me just smile.
you want to know what Ron
Something
DeSantis
about
is
Twitter?
doing?
What?
What's that, Jenna?
You go ahead. You might know what I'm talking about, but actually know what you're saying.
Well, I was just going to make a general statement about Ron DeSantis, and what he's doing is running for president. That's
Mhm.
that's what's going on here. And
Ron DeSantis was doing this stuff though before it looked like
oh yeah,
the field was going to be open for him to run for president.
yeah, very definitely.
So I don't consider it all
Oh, this isn't just for show. He's
stagecraft. This is who he is.
This is who he is. That's absolutely right.
He comes out
seems like a good man too.
Yeah, and what I like is he comes out for press conferences with both middle fingers already raised. It's like, you're just going to annoy me, and we might as well get this over with. Up yours too. Okay.
Hey, I've got to run over and take care of the dogs. I don't know why someone isn't helping with the dogs. Okay, can you guys talk amongst yourself? I'll be back in just a minute.
Absolutely, we can talk among ourselves.
As far as DeSantis goes, I think what they may go after him, in terms of vectors of attack, is they may try to say that his response, his anger, is not presidential.
It's better
That's
than
going to be something they're going to try on him.
Well, given the fact that I don't believe he's called somebody a dog-faced pony soldier, drop and give me 50 fat, or any of those other things, it might be a little difficult with the current babbler in chief.
You know the rules. Don't
I
have
know.
to be
I know what the
consistent.
rules
That's
are.
Cute though.
I don't care. I don't care that he's mean. I would like to see an ill-tempered person, for once, having to deal with the fuckwittery of most of the oh God, what's the machinations? There's the word. The machinations of the federal government. It's what you had in Trump. He didn't like them, and he didn't like the way they operated, and he told them so. And of course, they organized against him. They're going to do everything they can to destroy Ron DeSantis in the next 2 years.
Of course.
Just watch it. I hope Ron DeSantis does not have any unpleasant skeletons in his closet. But Florida dodged a hell of a bullet when he was elected governor, because the alternative would have meant that Florida would be going broke. It has
Progressives hate Florida. I've
Yeah,
talked to progressives who literally, if you even bring up the existence of Florida, they get triggered.
which makes Florida even more glorious. They hate it because it does not have a state income tax and it flourishes.
Well, and they hate it because they think it has cost them some elections that they essentially won.
Well, tough shit, because it has a larger population than New York. It's just sorry. A lot of people move there because there's no state income tax. And the property taxes are higher, and the sales taxes, Florida has a state sales tax. That's what they use, but a lot of states have sales taxes.
Well, unless it's 20%, it's kind of hard for a Californian to get worked up over.
The top tier in Florida, the state sales tax is 6%.
Oh no, 6 whole percent.
Localities may add sales tax beyond that for their own revenue generation, not to exceed 1.5%. So the top sales taxes in Florida are 7.5%. Now the property tax is high by comparison to other comfortable property tax states. Then again, compare it to California for a new purchaser, and
I remember when I was a kid, sales tax was like 6.5% or something, and then they raised it to 7%. And then the Loma Prieta earthquake hit, and it's like, oh no, this is terrible. We need money to rebuild all of the things, all of the highways and things. So we're going to put in a temporary 1%. And then they added sales tax for Bay Area rapid transit, which of course, even in areas where it doesn't serve it, they end up charging it for decades. And at this point, sales tax around here ranges from the 9 and something to 10%.
Yeah.
For just sales tax.
And do localities also have sales taxes?
Yeah, that's why it's not just why I can't just give you one number.
Oh no, you can't.
Counties have it, and some cities will throw in there as well.
Yeah, Jacksonville and Tampa, and a couple other counties are at 7.5%. A buttload of Florida is at 7%. And then there are those that are lower. But then it's like with property taxes. The percentage rate on property taxes varies widely by locality. It's one of the reasons that you've been seeing some of there's no spine to Florida, but if you, well away from the coasts, developing, it's because their property taxes are lower than coastal counties, or the counties with beaches to maintain and that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean that's another reason though for progressives to hate Florida, and it's one of the reasons why Florida has a higher population than New York. Because
my Nana lives there, and my friend.
Even with a state sales tax, 7.5%. As your state and local sales tax. Now, I'm sure there is hospitality tax and meals taxes and things like that, but compared to a state income tax, most people, it'll come out as a wash for most people, and they get to live in better weather, which is why they move there. And it's
the thing about sales tax versus income tax is you pay sales tax when you choose to buy something.
Yes.
And income tax you don't have any choice about.
Yep. It's not compelled. Now, when it's on food and on clothing under a certain value, it's still kind of a compelled tax because one must eat.
I understand that. But
Most tax?
Yeah, our state sales tax, Jenna, is not like Massachusetts. It applies to food and clothing. In Massachusetts, the exemption was for food and items of clothing up to $100 at one point. I don't know.
I buy clothes all the time, and you know.
Yeah, no, I clearly remember that, but also the general sales tax was higher than it was in a lot of states that charged it across the board.
Virginia has some funny notions about buying and selling. I remember the blue laws, for example.
Yeah.
When I was going to high school there, and you couldn't buy stuff on Sunday.
We can now. That's gone. But the our food tax is lower than the sales tax on food is 2 point something percent. The sales tax on like beer and wine bought in the grocery store is higher.
Wow.
And then like the city of Richmond has attached a meals tax and all this kind of, a lot of them are doing meals taxes. Counties do that, especially in metro areas where there are lots of restaurants and lots of people eating out, because they really rake in the revenue that way. And of course, with all the restrictions, quite a reduction. I mean, our sales tax isn't terrible, but we also have a state income tax. And then localities are increasing property taxes, at least urban, suburban, immediately adjacent counties are really getting up there for what Virginia used to be, because it's taken on too much social burden. And has been ignoring infrastructure and things like that in favor of, tearing down representations of people and creating educational centers to make sure you think the right way.
How pleasant.
Yeah, it's just whatever. The main reason I'm leaving the city of Richmond is it doesn't mean I won't consume products in the city. I won't patronize businesses in the city. Of course I will. Why
are you leaving?
I'm leaving because of the sales tax. That's sales tax, the property tax.
Property tax, yeah.
The property tax is, in the county I'm moving in, which is 13 miles from the center of the city of Richmond, roughly. So, same distance I am now when I'm inside the city here, is 40 cents on the 100 less.
Wow.
For property tax.
That's substantial.
And with inventory shortages, what they are, and home values going through the roof, that is going to make an enormous difference, because our property tax has gone up easily $2,000 per year not each
You don't
year.
ever own your home, do you?
Well,
you just
it
rent
owns you.
I find,
Yeah, I hear you.
because I believe in life, liberty, and property, I find the notion of property tax to be as, if not more, abhorrent.
It's offensive.
Than the federal income tax.
It's like the 2% tax on billionaires. Fuck you right in the ass.
Yeah.
What Gavin Newsom, that is just pernicious.
Well, he knows he's got billionaires who won't leave.
Yeah.
Because they're weather whores and convenience whores.
Well, not right away. I don't think most politicians, most billionaires would just sit there and get kicked in the groin repeatedly financially with 2% per year of a wealth tax.
Well, Maryland has 10 billionaires, and they instituted a millionaire's tax, but they did have a revenue shortfall because there were a lot of two-income households with big-time government jobs or government contractor jobs or adjacent things living in Maryland who would easily be worth $1 million. And it's, how do you classify a millionaire? By what they earn every year, what their investments are worth. Because, you could have $5 million worth of investments that were locked away from you, and you're not living on, they're reinvesting, and you're not getting anything. You're just paying taxes on it as a hedge on your future.
Well, just sell them so you can pay the tax. It's easy.
Right, and then we tax you on the capital gains and the sale of the stock.
Just sell more of them. Just sell more of them. You got
Yeah.
plenty. You got plenty.
Yeah,
You got
I mean,
more than I do, so sell it, billionaire pig.
but it's funny because if somebody is making decent money and is saving money, I mean, like a single person living on $50,000 a year could easily be socking away 10 grand a year, depending on where they live, how they live. You know what I'm saying? You know, they're not leasing a car; they bought one. They're driving a late model.
If you
Blah
can
blah.
save $10,000 a year, do that for 20 years. Look at a compound interest graph of what what the future value of $10,000 is. It's pretty substantial. You see how retirement can be built very easily, and you're quite right. You can get you can
get $1 million pretty quickly that way.
Yeah, and if the market's good to you, can get it even faster.
Yep. I mean, if you consider average return is 5%, let's just do that. And then you're compounding because you're increasing. You're not taking money from it. You're sucking it up on those dividends, reinvesting them.
Compounding it quarterly, say.
That kind of thing. It doesn't take much time to put away one hell of a nest egg. And, a lot of people are working for places that have 401ks, and those are growing, and what they're worth, they're going to be grossly surprised by some of these little tax ideas that are being floated.
Just wait for this to happen, because I believe you'll see this in the next year or two.
Yeah.
Joe Biden is going to say, why are we not taxing these 401ks? Why are we not taxing these? That's a huge amount of money, and it's a big honking amount of money.
Because
why don't we just take 1% off every? It's fair because we'll take 1% from everybody. Take 1% of everybody's pension. You're not going to use it now anyway. You'll probably make that back, and if you don't, hey, went for a good cause. Come on, man.
And once that crack is open, it's
see ya.
Yeah,
he may think it, but I don't think he'll be able to say it. Not because he isn't a creep that would take all your money, but that would involve English language.
Yeah, but given some of what they're talking about and the fact that they've been lying,
I think they'll do it. I just don't
teeth
think Biden could say the whole sentence
about the tax plan. They're lying. They're lying to people. It's only going to be on people who earn over $400,000 a year.
That's a hot button for me, Prospero. Because there was that guy on YouTube who was coming at me over that, and I said, no, it's two. I posted something. I said, no, it's $200,000 if you're single. And this guy's like, you're an idiot or a fucktard or whatever he said. I don't even remember. He said, you're just listening to Fox News. Why don't you learn how to use a search engine or whatever? And I just said, no, you're wrong. And I said, here's the thing. And he just kept coming at me. So I said, here, this press conference, this day, Jen Psaki, go to time index this. There's your proof. And he hasn't come back after that.
Yeah, isn't it funny how they never do
go back?
You may have proved your ability to use a search engine, Harry.
Yeah, but they don't.
Well, I did use, by the way, if you ever want to do something like that, the trick is go into the transcript mode on YouTube and then skim it really quickly if you can speed read. And then once you find the words you're interested in, you can go back and look at the video itself. But it's much faster to search for it in the transcript.
String searching is a thing.
I didn't even know you could do
Control is your friend.
I know. Well, that's a pro tip from the Harry channel for you.
Yeah.
Control what?
Pro tip from the Harry channel.
No, I said control what?
F. Control F is how you get a find box instantly.
One quick question, Harry. Is the $200,000 total income, or is it income only derived from salary and non? Do you know how they're calculating it?
Well, if you, actually, any kind of non-employee compensation, outside of things that are set aside, is factored into W-2 income. And if you change the rules to make capital gains be treated as
Yeah.
ordinary income,
Yeah.
then the distinction disappears pretty quickly.
Oh, it will.
But they're looking at what we're talking about is income tax only, not anything else, just income tax only.
Well, what they're talking about doing to the capital gains is insane. I mean,
It
what's been
is.
floated out there is insane, and it will.
What do you mean, raising the capital gains thing?
Yeah, because they think this is the thing. All those millionaires. All right, you want to know those hedge fund guys that you want to punish, because a lot of them, that's who they picture. We're gonna get those hedge fund guys and those big time broker boys. All right, let me explain something to you fuckers. You go after capital gains tax, those guys are going to make bank. They are going to make bank because every fucking employee pension plan that's managed by those guys, every single 401k that is filtered through their hands, all that stuff, they're going to be trading that shit and they're going to be raking it in. Because people are going to have to reposition. And repositioning means selling, trying to minimize how much hit you get on the sale and moving the money into something safe. They get fee right across the board for all of that work.
Yeah, there's also another principle involved actually in this, and that is that when the institutional guys trade, the little guy loses because that money comes from somewhere. And I promise you, those guys will always protect their money. They will always make money. Yeah, because in that business, if you're not successful, they simply fire you and get somebody who is. It is one of the most cutthroat, brutal businesses.
Chew them up, spit them out.
I've ever been associated with. You see some just brutal stuff. Anyway, but the idea of raising capital gains, is going to have an effect on two tiers, but it's going to affect the institutional part differently than it affects the ma and pa kettle. Ma and pa kettle are going to be faced with it makes it harder to make a profit, which means risk is increased, which means that all investments will be shifted to a longer term, which will make the market more turgid. The market will be slower. People will be less likely to sell because they'll say, "No, I don't want to pay the tax on that gain.
Yeah, no dynamism.
I haven't made enough return. Okay, so I'll stay in it longer." Yes, exactly. The dynamic nature of the market will decrease slightly. Now, remember that 3/4 of the trades that occur in the stock market are institutional. So you've only, what we just talked about was 1/4 of the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in 3/4 of the market, those guys are going to look at that and say, our risk is up. We have to trade faster. Okay, because everything they do, all their stuff it's all short-term gains, and it's taxed slightly differently. It's institutions trading it within mutual funds and money markets and stuff like that. The underlying securities for money market funds is treated a little bit differently, and it's going to make the markets. It's going to have the overall effect of making the market less predictable over the near term, and it's going to encourage the small investor to go very, very long term, and the market will end up being a little bit less easy to use as an investment vehicle. I actually think it will cause money to leak out. That's the other thing I think will happen, is that money will start to leave the market and begin to look for better investments. And there are competing alternatives out there. As a stockbroker, you realize this every day of your life.
Well, long-term stability investments. And long-term favor,
like the REITs, for example.
REITs, but they also favor large cap stocks. because those are your solid companies that nobody
They
expects
used to be anyway.
nobody expects them to go anywhere.
Yeah,
But the large caps, though,
utilities maybe.
but the large caps, if you look at them, are made up of all these corporations that all these people claim to hate,
Yeah,
and they want to take down a notch.
Yeah.
They want to go after the rich fuckers in the rich corporations, and everything they're going to do is going to favor the rich fuckers and the rich corporations.
Yeah.
It's how it's yeah, this is what the Democrats do when they do this shit. They tell you they're gonna fuck their friends, and then they hand their friends a pot of gold.
Yep.
And everybody goes, see, they care about the little guy. Until the employee pension funds start getting deflated because of inflation.
Well, people will and institutions both will begin to take their money elsewhere. I think that will be the big thing that will come out of this. And you may be seeing a beginning of evolution of the stock market to where it becomes a lot smaller than what it is, and people look for investment return elsewhere because it's already essentially just a crapshoot. Nobody. Only from the standpoint of can the company continue as a going concern. That's the only part of fundamental analysis that has any validity with respect to the stock price anymore, and that's whether or not the stock will exist. If the company is a going concern, it suddenly turns everything is technical. It's all a technical play, meaning that the underlying value of the stock, the underlying value of the profit and loss statement doesn't really influence the movement of the stock price as much as technical features in the market that are beyond the scope of this discussion. But anyway, it's not the condition of the company that governs the what you expect the value of the stock to be.
Well, they're also
It's
likely
grossly unfair.
to fuck up the real estate market.
Oh yeah,
and if they fuck up the real estate market, some of that long-term investment, like you mentioned in real estate,
they made a run at it in the '80s, if you remember.
But the real estate investment trusts, like you mentioned, will go
those
to
went well.
Those will no longer be the solid thing they are now because we've been in a building boom and calm down, everybody. It's not the same kind of bubble. It's more of a demographic creation of people moving into, a large enough group of people moving out of temporary into permanent. But if they start throwing up some of the barriers that it looks like they might do, they could really, really stagnate the real estate market, which is
that'd be great.
Yeah,
that's what we need is more long-term speculators in the real estate market, prohibiting people from buying the land that they want to use right now because some asshole has got a business plan that makes it affordable for him to hold it for 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll just
real estate speculation makes me crazy.
Yeah, people, home builders, because there's a demand for homes pretty much across the country. There's some regional variations, but there's been an awfully low inventory and awfully high demand in a lot of the country. Builders are up to their clavicles in people wanting things to be built, and they've now run into supply chain problems, and
knew that was going to happen.
That's causing them to delay sales, to only release a limited amount of potential inventory.
You've hit this yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, I have hit it. And I have a great deal of compassion for the people in the development side now, for builders, because in our area, they can't get breaker boxes. They're having trouble getting breaker boxes. And that's something that, most people just think, well, it's a breaker box. What are you talking about? It's not like
No
it's,
trouble getting them down here. We are building like fiends
yeah,
in
well,
Texas.
you
It's
guys,
amazing.
you guys approach lockdown differently, and you have your very big state with a whole lot of homegrown manufacturing.
That's
But
absolutely true. That's absolutely
lumber has quadrupled in price,
yeah.
which means the margins for home builders to build affordable is getting razor thin. And they locked a bunch of people in contracts that they're having trouble completing, and their margins are tightening and tightening and tightening on those locked in contracts.
Mm.
So, I mean, they really are up against it. And they're always in the present, but also 10 years in the future if you're a builder.
Yeah.
A foot in speculation and a foot in reality. And what a nightmare. And
it's a real nightmare if they go bust, because then people like you who are tied into these contracts could end up losing a lot of money.
Yeah, the likelihood in my particular instance of this occurring is, I'd say, nil and none.
Which is great.
Yeah, but because this is a builder who went through 06 to 09.
But there are builders who have gone under and taken the people's deposits with them.
Yeah,
and that's not a good thing at all.
These guys have a pretty good income flow. They just know that their margins are narrowing, and they're a niche builder. They're solely 55 plus builder. And they've got another 10 to 15 years of ready clientele that are going to be clamoring at the gates. So as far, they're cautiously optimistic would be the term. The cautious coming from they have no idea what federal policy decisions are coming down the road. Mm-hmm. And you're not, I mean, this thing about, we've been looking for affordable housing solutions in this nation. And when you have the price increases that they have, holy shit.
It's not going to be affordable.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to be better off building your own yurt. I shit you not, I mean,
Prospero, if worse comes to worse, you can live in my treehouse.
I can't even begin to tell you how relieved I am to hear that, Jennifer.
I care.
I know.
Did you just full name me?
What do you think Jen comes from?
I know. I hate that name.
Yes, well, that might be why I said it. You just offered me your treehouse. You live in New England. I'm not spending in February in a treehouse. I went to Girl Scout camp in February. It sucks.
Okay, you can live in the
loft. But you'd be able to make s'mores.
No, what I did is I went out in the sleet and got firewood.
We had raccoons when I was in Girl Scouts. We had raccoons eat our food.
That's awesome.
I just thought I would share this with it and show everybody that yes, Jimmy Carter actually did have a very small brain, and that was the reason that he had such a horrible presidency. It was his tiny little head and the strangely misshapen head of his wife that contributed to the malaise that affected the United States back in the day. This is a picture taken with President Jill Biden and her corpse and the Carters at the Carters' home, I guess in Georgia, where they both pretended to yuck it up and have a good time and pretended as though they liked one another. Jimmy Carter doesn't like anybody but Jimmy Carter, and there's so much disingenuousness going on in this picture that I just felt like it was symbolic, really, of the what's going on in Washington now. The the level of our political discourse. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think you shouldn't use a wide-angle lens to take a mid-range shot.
Did
Speaking-
Jimmy Carter have a stroke?
No. No, he's actually leaning back in the chair because this is what old people do. Because their backs hurt.
Yeah.
They sit
That's what I'm doing right now.
in their
I was
comfortable.
just wondering because of his where his arm is placed.
Oh no, he's just got it relaxed across his leg.
Okay.
I mean, he's. I would imagine everything hurts.
I understand that.
You know, constantly at his age, gravity, you know, is a hell of a thing, and it's just this picture. Not to mention the absence of social distancing and masks. I do find quite alarming, Susan. This is alarming because
Yeah.
I'm seeing
We're all alarmed. I'm very alarmed.
a lot of medical misinformation here. We have been told that even when vaccinated, we should be masked up when we are in close proximity to other people.
No,
And
old
Fauci
people
said
the
that
most-
small groups of people who are all vaccinated can hang out together indoors. Small groups. This is a small group, right? Or it's the saddest key party ever.
Well, there's something so sad about this picture. Seriously,
It is.
It
This
is.
is
You know that.
this is pathetic. Gone are
Do you
the
see any
days.
joy in anyone's eyes there? I
No.
see nothing. I
No.
see.
It's like I get to sniff someone.
Actually, he might be thinking, "I'm going to get cake after this." We don't know. You know,
Oh boy, cake.
if I kneel down next to this weird old lady, I get cake. Okay, because
You
his
want a
smile,
dandelion?
he looks kind of happy. Rosalind looks like she's afraid he's going to start feeling her up.
Yeah,
Um,
she spent her life with that baseless fear too.
Jimmy's holding Jill's hand in
And
maybe
Jill looks,
out of fear that she might put it to his throat. I don't know.
Rosalind's no fool. She probably sprayed DEET on herself before. Showed up.
I hope she did. You touch my nips and I will rip your. It's. You know, I'll tell you this. Jimmy Carter was a crap president, but Habitat for Humanity is a good organization. So I'll say that about him. In his lifetime, he has accomplished more as an individual, both in the Navy and doing Habitat for Humanity, than Joe Biden has
In his entire
in
life,
his entire life.
in absolutely everything he has done, he's never done a goddamn thing.
Yeah,
What
I don't-
about the stop and sniff or whatever? Stop and frisk.
Yeah,
You know that racist thing? He did come up with that.
yeah, that was nice. That's really up there with Habitat for Humanity. I think of.
Oh
I
yeah,
think-
it's right up there. I know.
After we
Civil asset
frisk you,
forfeiture.
yeah. After we frisk you, we'll build you a house. How's that sound?
Well, he expanded civil asset forfeiture so that it's left to the imagination of the law enforcement, and you don't have to have a judge sign off on anything.
That's absolutely
That
right.
was
Yeah.
that was the thing. He expanded it because of the drug war. Biden expanded it to like where the government official can just say, I kind of feel like maybe you got that money via illegal means. So I'm just going to take that, but I'm going to give you a receipt, and you get back to me when you can prove that you didn't steal this.
Yeah, guilty until proven innocent. That is, God, that is so.
What he would say is, no, what we've done is we've shifted the burden of proof. That's all.
Yeah, well,
Totally legitimate.
right, totally. And because it's in civil assets, it hasn't been really properly brought before the courts, and it should be.
A number
It
of states
should
are actually addressing some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Finally.
Yeah, Steve Leto, Lehto,
LEHTO.
He actually has been covering a lot of this stuff, both in civil asset forfeiture, but also A number of states, if you don't pay your property tax, they can sell your property, and instead of giving you the money that's extra above and beyond what was needed to pay the tax bill, they just keep that.
Yeah. There's
'Cause
actually a
that's
law
super
in
cool
Texas.
system.
There's a law in Texas that prevents municipalities from doing that, by the way.
Yeah, a number of states, a small number of states. I think Arizona is the one that's currently, it's passed both houses, but I don't know if the governor's signed it.
He will.
There are a number of states that are starting to get rid of this stuff just because it's been abused to the point where this is starting to make us look bad. We need to maybe find a new way to rip people off.
Yeah.
Yeah, revenuing for fun and profit.
Being a bit obvious. Yeah.
I have a quick thing just maybe
please.
to play us out.
Yeah.
Because I don't have much more time, but what do you guys think of the whole Elon Musk hosting Saturday Night Live thing? Have you heard about this?
The ones that the cast won't even be present when he does the opening.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
some members of the cast have chosen to not basically appear with him.
Oh, isn't that stunning and brave?
What
And this-
jackasses?
God, I'm aware of this. My comment on Twitter was laughs and Lenny Bruce.
Why won't they?
These
appear
people.
with
There was a time when comics actually risked their freedom to tell some of the jokes they did because we had blue laws and all kinds of fussy biddies who, if you said "damn it" in a comedy sketch, would get pissy if you said "fuck," you were done.
Well, Police Chief O'Hara was not a real big fan of what Lenny Bruce was saying about the Catholic Church.
Of course not.
There was a Police Chief O'Hara in a lot of major towns, and they really drove him to an early death.
Yep, but other comics, there were only certain towns they could play in because that kind of blue humor wouldn't be welcome. And I don't mean blue for blue's sake, blue for emphasis. Some people were very good at it. Carlin, for example. Bruce, for example. Pryor. Lots of them that made the blue hairs and the Bible thumpers and other moral scolds get all pissy. And it was a real free speech matter. The left used to be the...
free speech.
I mean, to the point that there were people in my parents' generation who were like, these insane people think you should be able to say anything. Well, fuck you. Yes, we do. That's precisely it. And now they've turned into a herd of pussies.
So, why won't they appear with him?
He hurts their feelings.
Because Bernie Sanders tweeted out that the richest 50 people in the United States are worth more money than the bottom 50% of the country. Okay. The tweet from Bernie Sanders goes, the 50 wealthiest people in America today own more wealth than the bottom half of our people. Let me repeat that because it is almost too absurd to believe. The 50 wealthiest people in this country own more wealth than some 165 million Americans. This is a moral obscenity. So what has happened is two of the I guess the writers and appear on the show, Bowen Yang and A.D. Bryant, have decided they don't want to have anything to do with this plutocrat who's going to come on the show, and they've been denouncing it in social media and all that kind of stuff with frowny faced emojis just to show their wrath.
You mean the guy that actually employs people as opposed to is an employee?
Yeah. Well, that's it. I'm a little surprised at Lauren Michael because the old Lauren Michael would have said when they came to him and said, well, there's some of us who don't feel comfortable appearing with him. And he said, and he would have said, that's fine. You can pick up your check downstairs.
You're fired.
Yeah.
Bring your ID card, please.
I got about 15 people clamoring at the door to get in here.
Yeah.
And they actually appear to be more talented than you.
I dip my scoop
there
into
are-
Second City, Chicago, and have 6 people in here so fast to replace one.
5 guys from Toronto are on line 1.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. It's not like there's any shortage of people who wouldn't give their left testicle to be on the cast
Yeah,
of Saturday Night Live. It's
NBC.
it is a little shocking. I would, at the very least, I would dock their pay for that week.
yeah.
At the very least.
Well,
It's like, oh, you're choosing to not work, you can take PTO. Have a
I
good
doubt
time.
that you can do that in New York. I doubt that you can dock pay like that.
yeah, Actors Equity would kill you.
Of course they would.
I mean,
which would make
literally.
firing them a lot easier.
Yes,
Yeah.
it would, because it's like, okay, here's the deal. No, I mean, and also the idea that any of the original or even the 5 iterations thereafter of Saturday Night Live would have shown their ass this way is insane. I mean, they may have walked up to Elon Musk, or they said, "Oh, I've got an idea for a skit. Let's bust him on being a plutocrat."
See, I
Elon-
laughed when you
Elon-
mentioned it because I didn't think he was that funny, but
Well, Elon actually has a pretty good sense of humor.
Yeah, he does.
But I mean, you can't be a tweet machine like he is and not have a good sense of humor. But furthermore, I think they're going to run into a bit of a problem because on the one hand, they all want to be crunchy and green and progressive, and I'm sure a bunch of them have already gone out and bought Tesla automobiles. So how do you reconcile having a Tesla automobile but then shunning Elon Musk? That's a level of cognitive dissonance that I
hard to
think
understand.
might be past even their capacity.
If I were a Twitter archaeologist, I would look to these individuals attempting to lead this boycott at Saturday Night Live and see if at any point they ever even said anything positive at all about 1, PayPal, 2, SpaceX, 3, Tesla. Because if they did, it would be like, what was that all about? Oh, you didn't
don't
know.
know.
Because they're Master Bernie Sanders, the mathematician that he is, the man who has created massive employment in his life, the dude who was so cool he got kicked off of a commune.
For not working.
Yeah, because he's a useless piece of shit.
Yeah.
You're not
This
wrong.
guy is
One who-
the greatest grifter in history, in my opinion.
went
Elon-
from
Oh, there
we
are
hate
greater
millionaires to
grifters.
we hate billionaires because he became a millionaire.
Because he wrote a book. Oh, why don't you write a book? You could be a millionaire like me.
Yeah.
Oh, God. What a
Like Robin DiAngelo.
Ow!
Yeah. Yeah.
I should probably
But, anyway-
take my leave.
I was going to say I'm going to send it around for final words. Harry, you want to start us off?
Yes, I do want to start us off. It was a pleasure hanging out with you guys tonight. I appreciate it. As always, I like being on with you guys. And I really do enjoy doing this. I don't have anything particularly insightful to say that I haven't already said. There was the Elon Musk thing, which I kind of wanted to get out there. There's the whole story about the CDC getting input, I'm doing air quotes again, from the teachers, one of the teachers' unions,
Yeah.
about what the COVID reopening guidelines should be for schools. Oh, it's just all so terrible. But the only hope that I have right now is that they're screwing things up at such a rapid pace that I think it's going to be pretty glorious a little less than 2 years from now.
Yeah,
I think you're right. Well said, Harry.
I think
you.
they're overreaching on such a massive scale that they're going to own gold themselves at this point.
I think they
And
lost their.
I don't think even controlling, most of the major media and the search engines is going to be enough to save them from the level of overreach that they seem to be engaged in.
I hope so.
I hope so too. And with that,
Yeah.
good night, everybody.
Good night, Harry.
Nice.
See you in the after show. Let's see. Jenna, final words of the evening.
Caitlin Bruce Jenna said that biological men who transfer to being women shouldn't play in female sports. So there you go.
Hey, a blind hog finds an acorn once in a while. It's good to hear. Katie Bruce. All right. Prospero. My bad.
I swear to God. It's like the Democrats are on a road full of speed bumps and they're driving a lowrider.
Yeah.
Oil pump on the, the oil pans over there, the mufflers over here. This car is running great.
Yeah.
I have no words anymore. The amount of weaponized stupidity that's loose in DC now is extraordinary. The teenagers that ran the Obama administration are back in charge.
Yep.
And
but there's no grown-up in the White House anymore.
No, there isn't. And see, the thing is...
senile grandpa.
Yeah, they're senile grandpa. Because my admiration for Obama's gone up a tick or two.
Yeah.
Because he was able to keep some of these fuckwits in check.
Yeah.
And I have the feeling that somehow or another Susan Rice was incredibly frustrated that Barry wasn't all in on stuff because he was concerned about his image. This is not flattering to any of these people, but thank Christ politicians are concerned about their images. And she's getting her revenge because somebody's setting this domestic policy, and it's
not Susan Rice and
terrible.
And the chief of staff, what's the forgettable guy who doesn't cast a shadow or show a reflection in mirrors? The chief of staff guy, and
I think Ben Rhodes probably is having his say here and there, and it's not good. And you've got Kerry exercising too much authority in foreign relations, which is even worse.
Yeah. Definitely a problem.
The professional fuck-ups are in charge.
But we're not going to solve it tonight, I guess, is the point. Anyway, thanks for hanging with us. And I did want to thank chat. Thank you guys for coming out and spending 2 hours of your life with us. I appreciate it. We do this for you. And thanks to my friends on the panel here. I just love hanging with my friends. It's just one of the delights of my life. Have an old and very famous quote, but it just can't be reiterated enough from Thomas Jefferson. He said, "Government big enough to supply everything you need is big enough to take everything you have. The course of history shows that as a government grows, liberty declines." And he had it right on the money. This is what's happening now. The government's growing to the point where it's you'll think, wow, this is going to take care of everything for me. And the problem is then it's going to start telling you what to do. And then as it provides more and more things for you to do, it will start telling you more and more things to do. As it provides more and more things for you, it will start telling you more and more things that you must do. And thereby, that's how the trade of liberty dies. And let's hope it does not truly need to be watered with the blood of patriots. But, say your prayers and hope for sensibility to take over in Washington. Vain hope indeed, but that's all I've got tonight. Anyway, thanks for hanging with us, guys, for Tuesday. The Zoom is closed. Good night.
Good night.
Hi.